Alright, so there you can see the results of my battle with Uesugi Kenshin. Sad but necessary that he had to die, and that should deliver quite a blow to the Uesugi. Of course, since I haven't taken their provinces, it won't take them out of the fight, but it'll definitely, I'm sure, slow them down. You can see them again. I don't remember the name of that province over the west, but it gets besieged about 1,000 times over the course of this campaign so far, and likely will continue to do so. Looks like the Saito, though, are nicely pushing up into the, I guess, the western side of Japan there, and helping to really defend me from that direction. Kind of weird how they laid the campaign map from south, where south to north is actually east to west. Well, what you used to, but in some ways it's kind of nice because otherwise it'd be kind of strange. In any case, when I say north and south and east and stuff on here, I'm referring to like the actual directions of Japan, so not the way the campaign map is laid out. So yeah, the Ikko Ikki are in control of Mikawa, and I'm just trying to come up with some plans to try and rearrange my forces here a little bit. Some of my towns are upset that are behind my lines, and I'm gonna have to, you know, catch up with the Mikawa on this episode, of course, and try and take them down. I've got a huge army though, and it's not gonna be just real simple to unseat them. I'm gonna have to play well. So I did go ahead and make this a vassal again up here. So the Murakami are now my vassal in North Shinano. So it's back under my control, which is nice. Definitely nice. You'll see that general is quite successful. And you know what can happen with successful generals on Shogun. It'll be interesting to see. See, I'm just checking out the diplomacy here to see how my vassals feel towards me, and then I'm making sure that I get a trade agreement with my new vassal. They don't like me very much, even though they're, even though I'm their overlord, basically. But they can deal with it. They can like me or they can die. It's pretty much their only two options. I'm gonna have to exempt this region from taxes in order to keep them from revolting, because we definitely don't want a revolt on our hands. It's much easier to prevent one rather than to deal with one. I need to retrain my sword troops a little because they've got such a massive army, but I don't really have time. I'm going to have to get these guys out of Mikawa, so I'm just going to siege them and basically end up maintaining the siege to see if they'll come out to attack me. I'm not really sure which one's better than the other, to be honest. In this case, they've got so much cavalry that I don't really want to fight all that cavalry on open ground, but I kind of have to risk it because I don't really think that I want to try and march in there and kill all those guys just because it'll be a huge number. I do have a lot of sword infantry, which would make that possible, but you can see that definitely I was waffling back and forth on what I should do here. And I'm pretty sure that eventually I just choose to continue the siege, and then I'm going to bring up actually some of these troops that I was going to garrison. I'll just bring them as just a little bit of added reinforcements for the fight. Won't do much, but it'll be a little something. That way, if I end up fighting on open ground, I'll have a few more spears and another bow unit in order to cause as much damage to the enemy army as possible. So I'm really getting anxious to take Kyoto because my fire-projecting mangonels are ready. And they definitely are handy for helping to defeat the Shogun when we end up fighting a siege battle or an open field battle. And whether or not I get to fight a siege battle or an open field battle is just really going to depend on circumstances. Some of you might like to see me siege Kyoto, and I will attempt to do so, but I just can't guarantee whether or not that'll happen when the time comes, because you've got to make the right decision, because siege battles are definitely trickier just because of the morale factors and stuff like that, and especially since the Shogun usually has like 10 or 12 units of bow samurai. So I needed to fight this battle on the map. You can see that they have 3 units of bow samurai up front, and I don't have any bow unit, or I have 1 bow unit. So I'm formulating a plan here because those bow samurai will freaking shred my Yari Ashigaru and completely demoralize them before the fight starts. So I'm going to run a couple of meat shield units in the front, and you can see that I have my cavalry and my general unit of Yari Samurai out to my left flank. I'm going to use those to try and quickly engage the enemy general or just get around their flank. Maybe just divert some of their troops. So here I'm using a meat shield tactic where I'm going to use a rush. Using a meat shield, you've probably seen me do stuff like this online. I'm supporting my cavalry with the spears so that hopefully I can be a little more inventive with my cavalry and not have to just run away from enemy spears, which are sure to chase me. You can see the bow samurai fell for the bait, and they went ahead and just opened up on my meat shield units, but now they see my general within their range, and so, much in the fashion of the AI, they're programmed to act a certain way, and that's exactly what they do. They just immediately target my general, which is in that spear unit. But the good thing is that keeps them from tearing up my infantry on the way in, so that ends up working out quite nicely. And I do end up putting my units on the defensive and spear wall right at the last second to help kind of increase their ability to stand and fight. And then I'm going to charge my general unit of Yari spears into, or Yari samurai into the enemy spears there. So yeah, there I'm going to start to try and wrap up the enemy infantry. I don't have like an actual general in this battle though, so the morale of my units is not going to be all that hot. But I do kind of have the enemy surrounded, and their general is now vulnerable to a charge by my cavalry, which is precisely what I'm going to try and do there. I didn't get the best charge on him though, so unfortunately that fight's probably going to go on a little longer than I want it to, and you can see that they're sending spears out to reinforce. They'll just ignore another fight and just immediately go towards your cavalry. The computer will attack your cavalry with its spears at any cost. Even if it ruins the whole battle for them, they'll go after your cavalry with their spears. It doesn't matter. Win, lose, otherwise, whatever. We're going for your cav. But you can see the infantry fight went my way, so it pretty much doesn't matter that they decided to pull back and try and take out my cav, like I said. The AI doesn't usually end up caring whether or not it causes them to lose the fight. Just so long as they annoy your cav, I think they're happy. Alright, this fight is over. And here in just a moment we'll be heading back to the campaign map. Hope you enjoyed that. Alright, so it's, you know, the annoying thing is though, that army up there is still around, and because they sieged my castle for like one turn or something, the castle's damaged. And when the castle gets damaged, the suppression that it has on the populace is gone, which is really irritating because it's like the castle walls are damaged a little bit. Seriously? Just because the castle walls are damaged a little bit, like suddenly all the peasant farmers are revolting. It's like, oh look, the castle walls are damaged. Let's take up our pitchforks and rebel against the government. What the crap is that? Seriously? The only way that the castle thing should happen is if like the castle was like wholly destroyed in some kind of massive siege or something, because then that makes sense. But just because like the castle walls are a little bit beat up from a siege, that doesn't make any sense. And not only that, yes, my castle was besieged, but the enemy never attacked it. I fought them on open ground, so when did they damage my castle? So yeah, I'm not really a big fan of the fact that your castle gets damaged just when another unit besieges it, because first of all, they didn't have any siege weapons, and second of all, they never even scaled the walls or anything like that. I fought them on open ground. So really, they just had my town surrounded. They didn't do anything to my castle. So that just doesn't make sense to me, but oh well. Anyway, we're going to fight this huge Ikko army here. I've decided to take the fight to them. I just don't want to wait any longer to get Mikawa back because I need the income. So here you can see me opening up on their archers with flaming arrows. It ends up catching the gatehouse and the walls on fire, and here's another castle I'm going to have to repair. But I don't really care. I just wanted to damage these guys and damage them badly. I've got my general units right behind my bows, and I've inspired, or rallied them. And I have 3 generals. So the nice thing is that means that I have 3 different rallies and 3 different inspires that I can use. So it's actually kind of handy to have more than one general in a battle in campaign if you get the option. However, the only downside is that only one general kind of gains the experience, and it's the one who's considered the leader, which in this case is my daimyo. You'll see, I think the other general in this battle is Tokugawa Ieyasu. I believe he's the second one from the left there. So he's here fighting with the daimyo, and if this were a long campaign, you know, obviously it would be much more likely that Ieyasu would be the daimyo. But since it's a short campaign, it only goes to like 1575, and I think by 1575, the Tokugawa had pretty much taken power, but I don't, I want to say that Ieyasu wasn't really declared shogun. I think, until closer to 1600, but I don't remember. Again, my history's a little bit sketchy on this stuff, so I don't want to say for certain on that. But yeah, I'm doing a pretty good job of ripping into these Ikko archers, and basically, as soon as I get them damaged up pretty good, I think eventually I just end up ignoring them and trying to fire on the enemy cavalry and infantry, because I need to cut down their numbers as much as possible. Because even though I have like really superior infantry, it's just that they're going to have the morale advantage. Even with my generals, even with the Inspire, even with everything else, they're going to have an advantage in morale just because they're in the fort, and the men are going to fight to the death. And so I can't lose this army in the siege. Like, so this is not one of those places where I really want a Pyrrhic victory, although it's going to be hard to have anything besides a Pyrrhic victory when fighting against kind of forces like this. Now, unless I had like, what would be sweet is if I had like 2 or 3 units of fire projecting mangonels and like 3 or 4 fire rockets. Then we could just turn this place into one flaming ball of death for the Ikko, and I wouldn't have to waste a lot of my troops. Or like 15 units of boat warrior monks would be handy too. But in any case, I have to just deal with it. So I've got my archers moved up really close. I'm ignoring their archers and just firing on every target of opportunity within the castle. And again, I'm going to move my generals up in the loose formation, of course, in case they start getting fired on. I'll have a chance to get them out. And you can also see me running my infantry up. Now, running my infantry up is nice because I'll get them there, but I shouldn't have run them. I should have walked them, because now they're going to be tired, and I actually have to stop and rest within range of their archers. Fortunately, their archers never really stop firing at my own archers, so I take very few infantry losses, actually. But you can see that all of my units are now well within the morale-lifting range of my generals. And again, that's another nice feature about having all 3 of these generals in one army, is it ends up giving me, you know, that all that extra rally ability and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm just, actually I think I'm still firing at the, am I still firing at the bows? I can't tell. I think I am still firing at the bows. I don't know, I'm firing at all kinds of stuff, I think, up in the fort. I can't really tell. I do realize their general's there, though, and at this point I'm going to target all my bows on their general to see if I can just wipe him out here in a volley or two, because that'll definitely demoralize their troops and and they'll fight a lot less efficiently. Just a little information, though, about the Ikko Ikki while this is going on. You'll get to see, as I do the Ikko campaign, that basically the Ikko Ikki, their Ashigaru units are larger. I think their spear Ashigaru are like 180 men, and their bow Ashigaru are 150. And they have higher morale than regular Ashigaru, but they have lower statistics than Ashigaru of other factions. So they have higher morale, more numbers, but their stats are crap. I mean, like crap. So, and like when I say crap, I mean like double crap. But you can kind of use numbers and stuff to offset that, and the morale factor. Like if you put an Ikko monk in with your army that inspires the army, you end up with Ashigaru with like 8 morale, as opposed to, you know, the regular Ashigaru, which is way lower than that. So they will stand and fight for a little while longer, which is nice. But and then of course they have, similar to the Uesugi, they have superior monks, and they're kind of like Buddhist rebels in a way. So they're definitely a faction similar to the Uesugi as far as the monk bonuses go, but their Ashigaru are slightly different. And also they don't have Matsukes in the campaign. And so that's another... Oh, look at this big roasting pot of Ashigaru there. I turned on my fire arrows and just lit these guys up. So there's some nice effects for you. I'm sure that would smell good if this were real life. But yeah, so that was a big brutal shot. You can see I'm just absolutely ripping up whole units of Ikko troops. That's good, like I said, because I have to cause as much damage as possible. I am going to go ahead and assault the walls, though, and push back the enemy archers. And then I'm also going to start running my infantry through the gates. That way I can get in here and go ahead and start the fight. My archers can continue to fire and demoralize the enemy. And that way my troops can get done, and I'll use my rally and inspire abilities to help my men fight better and get this taken care of, because the longer this fight goes on, the worse it'll be for me. But these types of siege battles are time-consuming, and I could surround the castle from multiple directions. It'd probably be smarter, actually, but I just don't want to I don't want to walk my men around the castle and risk the other eco archers, you know, being able to get a bead on them and really tear them up. So I just decided to assault all from one direction. Again, surrounding the castle usually is a better idea, except for that one really tall side. You don't want to crawl up that because you'll lose a lot of men.
Our general is in grave danger, my lord!
Yeah, my generals are getting shot at a little bit, but it's not that big a deal. I did go ahead and inspire. I'm going to pick several units to inspire. I'm going to inspire a couple of spear units. And that way they'll get in there and cause initially a whole bunch of damage. At this point I'm going to start running my sword units in. And I'll run a couple of them over the wall as well, just because I want to get them in multiple different positions. That way, not all of them are just bogged down waiting to get through the gate. And that's typically a good idea. There, I'm going to inspire that sword unit. A unit that is inspired, its statistics skyrocket as far as like defense and attack. So an inspired unit will absolutely tear up any unit that's fighting, even if it's just like a spear Ashigaru. Because I know with like Patchy in the campaign, I can inspire a spear Ashigaru on spear wall, and they will murder a katana samurai unit, just because their defense stats and stuff get so off the charts high. So you know, it's definitely good to use those leadership abilities that your generals have, because it can make a huge difference. Just like if you're having a missile fight with someone and they're not going after your general, if you were to inspire one of your bow units and then put your general in stand and fight during the missile fight, your missiles would be way higher stats than normal and really help you out. So as long as you can protect your general, you know, that's another example of how you can use them. So it's not just melee fights where stand and fight and the general things are handy. It's also, you know, it's in every kind of fight, missile fight, cavalry fights, all that kind of stuff. So you definitely want to use those characteristics of the generals to make them more effective. So my units now are scaling the walls, and you can see that my inspired units definitely left their mark. And over here on the right side of your screen, you're seeing the eco are really torn up. But again, these guys will fight to the death, so this fight's a long ways from over. On the left-hand side, though, the eco are doing much better, just because what I didn't want to happen happened. A lot of my men got piled up in the gatehouse, and so they're not going to be able to fight as effectively. But I'm pretty sure that eventually I'll be able to break through on this right-hand side and get through there and pretty much help on the other side. And my goal is to just not lose any katana samurai units, but you can see that I have one of them that's already down into the red there, so it's going to be questionable. Losing the katana units means that I'll lose a good unit and that it takes time to retrain them, whereas, you know, just losing like an Ashigaru unit, they're easily retrained and I'm not too worried about it. So I definitely don't want to lose my katana units, so that's why I did everything that I did to try and to give them the best chance possible. You can see that had I just taken my katanas up there, even though on an open field my katanas would have thrashed their entire army, because of the morale factor of the fort, it definitely wouldn't have been the case. So yeah, I mean, you definitely have to understand the type of impact that the morale on the fort has, especially since I have the battle difficulty on hard rather than just normal or easy, so the computer will fight harder. Now, I give the AI a really hard time a lot in this game, and again, I give it a hard time, but realize that the CA has done an excellent job making it better, and although I get a little bit frustrated with the AI in this game because it gets predictable, the AI is still a whole lot less predictable in this game than it is in Total War games, and much, much better in general. It's just, I hope that continually the AI will improve in future Total War releases. I'm sure it will, because it seems like it has been. Definitely a huge jump and improvement in Shogun 2. Made this game so much more enjoyable in campaign. And again, like I said, the game has some nuisances and stuff that get on my nerves, but overall, really hard not to enjoy this game. In fact, I'd almost say you'd have to be crazy not to enjoy this game. But these crazy Ikko, man, they really, or Ikko Ikki, they really stand in their ground, which is frustrating. But I've definitely got to get my home province back here, and the fight is going to go in my favor. It's just a matter at this point of if I'm going to lose any of my Katana Samurai unit. One of them routed, and it only had like single digits as far as men left, so I'm worried about whether or not I'm going to lose it permanently. Because, like I said, I don't really want to take the time or waste the money to retrain my sword units. That's one of the nice things about Shogun is, I guess the upkeep cost covers the retraining and stuff. It's not like Napoleon or Empire or Rome or whatever where you got to pay to retrain your units. They just retrain, and that's kind of nice. But it does seem like the upkeep costs in this game have more of an impact than in any other Total War game in the past. So I guess it makes up for it one way or the other. So there you go, you can see my my right side broke through, and I've now got the remainder of these Ikko completely surrounded. So it'll help cut them down faster. But it's definitely enemy troops that put up a fanatic fight in these siege battles, which is good when you're the one who's defending. You definitely end up being glad that you're going to fight to the death, because you can either end up defeating much larger armies or just causing an inordinate amount of damage to an army that otherwise would have kicked your butt on an open battle. So the Ikko Ikki are losing this battle, but they'll definitely set my army back a couple of turns. So it'll keep me from being able to, it's already kept me probably for I guess when you end up totaling up, it'll end up being like 4 or 5 turns that they kept me away from the shogunate by doing this. So I guess that they were successful in that respect, even though they weren't able to continue to hold this province. I was just glad that this battle ended, and I only had one samurai unit routed rather than multiple samurai units, but you can see that my men took an absolutely brutal pounding in order to take this fortress. And I lost all 3 of my Yari Ashitara units, but you know, I can retrain those in like a single turn. It won't be hard. They ended up being pretty handy though, because there was a lot of enemy cavalry up here that would have otherwise probably caused a lot of damage to my sword units, but they were defeated pretty handily by my my Yari units that I sent in first.